Inside Gaza's al-Shifa hospital, rows of tiny newborns, some premature and wrapped in cloth for warmth. They're in grave danger with each passing minute. They've been taken out of their incubators because the hospital doesn't have enough power. Outside the hospital, Israeli tanks, which took up positions at its gates on Monday. Israel says al-Shifa sits on top of a Hamas headquarters, using the hospital's patients as human shields, which Hamas denies. This video from Israel's military is said to show its soldiers delivering fuel for the hospital. Israel says it attempted to evacuate the babies, but was blocked by Hamas. Dr. Ahmed El-Mokhalalati is a surgeon that's been caring for them. He says they're slowly dying.
Currently, we have 36 units survived, which means we have lost 3 over the last 24 hours. They are not that much covered in a way that temperature is not controlled. The only adjusted thing is the AC and the heater one. They will be crying. These ones, we feed them through a tube. We call it NG tube, trying to feed them. So they are literally in a very bad situation where you slowly kill them unless someone interferes to adjust or to improve their situation.
Al-Shifa, which is Gaza's main hospital, has been a major hotspot of the war for weeks, taking in wounded or the homeless. The Gaza Health Ministry spokesperson, who's inside the hospital, said Monday that it had lost 32 patients over 3 days from the conditions, including the infants. They also say Israeli drones and snipers are firing into the hospital, making it impossible for medics to move around the halls, which Reuters could not immediately verify.
The health system in Gaza is collapsing, and we are following very, very closely the developments around hospitals, especially al-Shifa hospital. Al-Shifa is an iconic hospital in Gaza. It is always the hospital that continues to function across the wars. Yesterday, the Director General of the World Health Organization declared that for the last 3 days, al-Shifa has not received water and electricity and has stopped operating. And that is extremely, extremely dramatic.
I went to the hospital with a video camera and personally documented more concrete evidence. The concrete evidence are that Hamas uses hospitals as an instrument of war.
This is a covered tunnel. It's part of the same floor and it slides down here. So it's a covered tunnel so nobody can find it. The tunnel is let down more than 20 meters down. The rowboat found a door that is bulletproof, it's explosives proof.
Underneath the hospital, in the basement, we found a Hamas command and control center, suicide bomb vests, grenades, AK-47 assault rifles, explosive devices, RPGs and other weapons, computers, money, etc. And we also found signs that indicate that Hamas held hostages here. This is currently under our investigation, but we also have intelligence that verifies it.
I want you to understand, this kind of gear is a gear for a major fight. These are explosives. These are vests with explosives. Yeah, it's a body vest for terrorists to explode on forces, among hospitals, among patients.
Yesterday, we were informed by the hospital that the last 18 patients in the N18V hospital had safely evacuated to a safer hospital. This is because our war is against Hamas, not against the people in Gaza, especially not the sick, wounded, or the women, or the children. Our war is against Hamas, who uses them as human shields. This basement also leads to a place where we presume signs of indication that hostages were being held. On this chair, we saw a rope, a chair, a clothes, and there is this list with days, marks the days from the 7th of October, and has the name that Hamas gave to the operation of al-aqsa, of the mosque of al-aqsa. Has the dates, the numbers of the days that followed by. I don't know exactly what it indicates. When did they left this area? But you have to remember, we evacuate the hospital with the patients. They might have left with the patients. They might have run away through tunnels. And we have signs that they had hostages with them. It's still under investigation, but there's enough signs to indicate that.
There is a list. This list, in Arabic, this list says we are in an operation, the operation against Israel.
I was there. I was thinking, when I was there, about babies, hostages babies, Israeli hostages babies, women, children. This is Hamas, barbaric terror organization. This is Hamas using hospitals as human shield, as terror machines. And this is not the last ops hospital like this in Gaza. And the world should know that. That's a crime. That's a war crime. That's a crime against humanity. That's against international law.
But let's wait and see what they come up with.
The President's going to answer, Davis.
The hospital in Gaza,
The
Kelly
hospital
was
in
in.
Gaza, have you expressed any specific concerns to Israel on that, sir?
Well, you know, I have not been reluctant in expressing my concerns what's going on. And it's my hope and expectation that there will be less intrusive action relative to the hospital. We're in contact and we're with the Israelis. Also, there is an effort to take this pause to deal with the release of prisoners. And that's being negotiated as well with the Qataris are engaged. And so I remain somewhat hopeful. But the hospital must be protected.
What the president has just said and what I've said is that we do not want to see firefights in hospitals. We want to see patients protected. We want to see hospitals protected. We have spoken with the Israeli government about this, and they have said they share that view, that they do not want to see firefights in hospitals. And you've heard from IDF spokespeople stating things along those lines. The Israeli government has also told us that they are prepared to provide fuel to hospitals to ensure that they can continue to operate, and that for certain hospitals, they actually have not been able to be in communication with the people who are actually running the hospitals. So that's something we will continue to work on. But the position of the United States on this matter is clear. Hospitals should be protected. Hospitals should be able to run effectively so that medical care can be given to patients. And finally, to the extent people need to be evacuated from one hospital to another hospital in order to ensure the continuation of care, evacuation routes have to be safe. And the Israeli government has told us as recently as today that there are and will continue to be evacuation routes for people leaving hospital compounds. So we have been very transparent about the fact that we have limited visibility into both the whereabouts of the hostages within Gaza and their condition. And I said as recently as yesterday that we have 9 missing Americans, 1 missing green card holder, and I cannot look in the eye and tell you how many of those hostages are still alive. We do have information, and I'll be careful about how I characterize that, about some of the hostages and a notion that there are a substantial number of hostages who are not just alive, but who could potentially be part of a hostage release. But I couldn't give you a number of exactly how many Americans would be included in that. That's something that we will have to work through as we continue these negotiations. And of course, we won't know for certain until we actually get the release of those hostages and they're safely returned to their families. So that's something we're going to continue to work on. I think there are circumstances where more than 4 hours a day is going to be necessary. And in fact, the Israeli government has recognized that. They've extended some of these pauses to 7 hours, for example, to create the corridor so that people can move around safely. We believe pauses should not be dictated by a strict timetable. They should be dictated by what is necessary to achieve the objectives. And those objectives are safe passage, the ability to move around humanitarian aid. And then ultimately, we'd like to see considerably longer pauses, days, not hours, in the context of a hostage release, and that's being actively worked on as well. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for coming.